David earned $300,000 a year. More than most Americans will ever make. He drove a luxury SUV. Took expensive vacations. Lived in a beautiful apartment. And from the outside, his life looked exactly like the kind of success people dream about. Then one afternoon, a tax document forced him to calculate a number he hadn't looked at in years. His net worth. What he discovered shocked him. Because after earning more than $2 million over 7 years, David had accumulated just $154,000 in net worth. Some people earning less than 1/3 of his salary were actually wealthier than he was. How was that possible? And more importantly, could the same thing be happening to millions of people right now? This is the story of David. But it's also the story of a financial trap that quietly catches millions of people every year. And if your goal is to build your first $100,000, understanding this trap could save you years of frustration. David wasn't reckless. He wasn't gambling. He wasn't blowing money in casinos. He wasn't chasing get-rich-quick schemes. In fact, most people would have described him as financially responsible. He paid his bills. He showed up to work. He advanced in his career. He made smart professional decisions. And that's exactly why the problem was so hard to see. Years earlier, David had started with an ordinary salary. Nothing extraordinary. Like many ambitious people, he believed something most of us believe. Once I make enough money, my financial problems will disappear. At first, it seemed true. His income increased. Then it increased again. And again. Every promotion felt like proof that he was moving closer to financial freedom. The bigger his paycheck became, the more confident he felt. When he finally crossed 6 figures, he celebrated. When he crossed $200,000, he felt unstoppable. And when he reached $300,000 a year, he assumed wealth would naturally follow. But something strange happened along the way. Every raise changed his lifestyle. Not dramatically. Not overnight. Just a little. A slightly nicer apartment. A slightly nicer car. More expensive vacations. More dinners out. More subscriptions. More conveniences. None of those decisions seemed dangerous. That's what made them dangerous. Each individual expense felt reasonable. But together, they created a lifestyle that quietly expanded to consume almost every raise he received. Psychologists call this lifestyle inflation. But most people experience it without ever realizing it. The scary part is that lifestyle inflation doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like progress. You work harder. You earn more. So naturally, you upgrade your life. The problem is that your spending often grows at the same speed as your income. Sometimes faster. And that's exactly what happened to David. The more he earned, the more he spent. The more he spent, the more income he needed to maintain his lifestyle. Without realizing it, he had stepped onto a treadmill. He was moving faster. But he wasn't actually getting closer to financial freedom. The warning signs were there. His savings weren't growing very quickly. His investments weren't increasing as much as they should have. His financial stress never completely disappeared. But because his income was so high, he ignored those signals. High income has a strange effect. It can hide financial mistakes for years. Someone earning $50,000 usually feels the consequences quickly. Someone earning $300,000 can postpone reality for a very long time. Then came the tax document. It wasn't a disaster. It wasn't some massive IRS problem. But it forced David to sit down and review his finances in detail. For the first time in years, he decided to calculate his net worth. At first, he wasn't worried. After all, he had earned more than $2 million over the previous 7 years. Surely he had built substantial wealth. So he started adding everything together. His savings. His retirement accounts. His investments. His emergency fund. Then he subtracted what he still owed. And when the final number appeared on the screen, he just stared at it. $154,000. That was it. After 7 years of high income. After more than $2 million earned. Just $154,000 in net worth. The number wasn't terrible. But it was nowhere near where he thought he'd be. And for the first time, he realized something uncomfortable. His income had been growing. But his wealth hadn't. That's when David learned a lesson that changed the way he viewed money forever. Income and wealth are not the same thing. Most people spend their lives chasing income. But wealth is what actually buys freedom. Income can create the appearance of success. Wealth creates options. Income can buy luxury. Wealth buys time. Income can impress strangers. Wealth can remove stress. And David had spent years focusing on the wrong scorecard. He tracked promotions. He tracked raises. He tracked bonuses. But he never tracked the one number that mattered most. His net worth. That realization changed everything. Instead of rewarding every raise with more spending, he started buying assets. He increased his retirement contributions. He invested consistently into low-cost index funds. He built a larger emergency fund. And for the first time, he began tracking exactly where his money was going. The changes weren't dramatic. There was no miracle investment. No secret strategy. No overnight transformation. Just better decisions repeated over and over again. Month after month. Year after year. Slowly, his net worth started growing. His investments began compounding. His financial stress started fading. And eventually, he experienced something that expensive purchases had never given him. Security. That's the part most people misunderstand about wealth. Real wealth isn't about showing off. It's not about luxury watches. It's not about expensive cars. It's not about looking rich. Real wealth is peace of mind. It's knowing an unexpected expense won't destroy your plans. It's having choices. It's having freedom. It's knowing your money is working even when you're not. A few years later, David didn't look dramatically different. His lifestyle wasn't much more impressive. Most people couldn't tell the difference. But internally, everything had changed. His investments were growing. His financial foundation was stronger. His future was more secure. And he finally understood why some people earning modest incomes quietly become millionaires while some high earners stay trapped for decades. The difference usually isn't income. The difference is behavior. The difference is habits. The difference is what happens after the paycheck arrives. That's why building your first $100,000 isn't usually about finding the perfect stock or landing an enormous salary. More often, it's about avoiding the mistakes that quietly destroy wealth before it has a chance to grow. So before you leave this video, take 2 minutes and calculate one number. Add up everything you saved and invested last month. Then divide it by your income. That's your savings rate. Most people know their salary. Very few know their savings rate. And yet that single number often reveals more about your financial future than your paycheck ever will. Because David eventually learned something that takes many people decades to understand. Financial freedom doesn't belong to the people who earn the most money. It belongs to the people who consistently turn income into wealth. And if your goal is to build your first $100,000, that's the lesson that matters most.